Hi, everybody. Wishing all of you a very good evening. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a working weekday for you, and you've spared a few hours off the clock for this. I'm just going to wait for a couple of more minutes for everybody else to join in. Meanwhile, just get acquainted with the Zoom platform. I'm sure you're there already. You got a Q&A button. Use that to ask us or the panelists any questions. You've got a chat box in which if you have any comment to make, or if you can't hear the speaker, please feel free to put that up there. While we're presenting or any of the panelists are talking, they're going to be putting any hyperlink if they would like you to watch or view a link. That's just some housekeeping rules that I'm just setting. Meanwhile, I will just acquaint you with why we're here. So we're talking about cracking your way through to the top 100 MBAs in the United States. While the webinar was named about 20 days ago, as recent as a couple of days ago, Clark was listed as the top 75 MBAs in the US by Fortune rankings. It is no longer on the top 100. That means that you've got more to aspire towards. We're here as upGrad trying to launch the Clark Management of Business, Master of Business Administration program. Clark MBA is not just one of the most sought after MBAs in the United States, but is also one of the most prestigious MBA. Clark has more than a century-old legacy that it has rightfully preserved and conserved over the years for itself. Clark is in Worcester, very close to Boston, where you've got a community of students from Harvard, MIT, UMass, and Boston University. That means it's one of the most coveted cities for a student to actually move into when they're looking at studying in the United States. Beyond that, I think what's also important is how accessible has the Clark MBA become with the upGrad Corporation. I'll introduce the upGrad model in a couple of minutes from now, once we've got a decent amount of audience here. And of course, I'll introduce the entire Clark team one by one who are here with us all the way from Worcester, Massachusetts. While we're still here on this topic, just a reminder for housekeeping, use the Q&A button to ask us any questions that you may have. Currently, this evening, we're talking about making your way through the top 100 MBAs, but technically Clark is now the top 75 MBAs in the United States. And do you actually need a GMAT? What really is an AACSB school? How easy is it to start the Clark MBA? That's what upGrad is going to be answering for you. Our mission, our endeavor, what we envisage is to make schools like Clark, which are not just legacy schools, but some of the most top and the most sought after schools, more equitable, accessible, democratized, flexible. And so here's how the upGrad model works. When you decide that this is the day when I've made my decision that I'm going to do my MBA in the United States, I want to go to some of the best schools in the US, you don't have to wait for the next best or next available intake, but you start in India right now with upGrad. We've got a pathway which starts as you and I speak right now. Even if you want to decide, make the decision right now, you start your pathway, you move to Clark, in the nearest intake, you get credit recognition, which means that's a recognition of prior learning, and you have a much expedited, shorter, more optimized MBA at Clark in the United States. I'll make you wait no further. I'm going to introduce Amy Daly Gardner, who is the Associate Dean of Graduate Student Recruitment at Clark. Amy's got a large team of experts on this platform with her, all guarded. She's got her military with her. And she's going to take you through the entire program at Clark. But keep in mind that this is not a regular course that is anyway accessible to everybody. Clark is a very exclusive MBA program that's given by its SOM, by its School of Management. And right now on this webinar, Amy's going to give you a good comparison over time between a direct MBA student and someone who goes to the upGrad route. And of course, we'll take you through the different accreditations, the curriculum, the ranking, and the curriculum methodologies used at Clark. Over to you, Amy.
Thanks so much, Praneet. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for spending an hour with us after a long, busy day. We're very excited. As you can see, there's quite a few of us here from Clark, and we're very excited to share with you this very special program that we have developed between our School of Management and upGrad. So first of all, I'd like to have us introduce ourselves so you know who we are. Again, my name is Amy Daly Gardner. I'm the Associate Dean and Director of Graduate Recruitment, and I've been at Clark for quite some time, for 22 years in different capacities. I have been to India. I was there in July and was also there a few years ago, and will be going back in June. So I'm very familiar with the Indian educational system, and very excited to hopefully tell you a little bit more about this program. Andrea Aiello.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you this evening. My name is Andrea Aiello. I'm an Associate Dean in the School of Management, and I've been at Clark and the School of Management for over 20 years, similar to Amy. And it's a pleasure to be with you all, and hopefully we can get every question you might have answered. And you will come and join us here in Worcester, Massachusetts, along with a very large Indian population that we have in our School of Management. So looking forward to seeing you all someday. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Van Wilmer. I am the Interim Director for Graduate Admissions. I've been with Clark for several years. We're very happy to be talking to everyone today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Meredith Galina. I have a dual role here in the School of Management. I will be the academic advisor for the MBA program, and I'm also the communications specialist for the School of Management. And yeah, really looking forward to hopefully meeting many of you in the near future.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Amanda Desai. I am the Associate Director of the International Student and Scholars Office here at Clark, and I'm actually also the School of Management Immigration Advisor as well. So I would be the person that you would go to for all of your immigration needs. So I welcome you, and I look forward to getting to know each of you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bradley Wall, and I am the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment with the focus in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm very, very excited to meet you guys and answer any of your questions about the recruitment process. So please feel free to use that question and answer chat box.
Great, Praneet. So I think we're ready. We do have a short slide deck. And we don't want to be talking at you and boring you. We want to give you a little bit of information and then answer all of your questions that you have.
Absolutely. So, like Brad mentioned, we're looking forward to answering all your questions, doubts, concerns that you put down in the Q&A button. What I'm just going to request Amy to be answering for you guys as an essential is why an MBA? Who is it for? Why an MBA from Clark and not Harvard? Why an MBA from Clark and not UMass? Why an MBA from Clark and not Boston University? More about the city, which I'm sure she's going to cover. But essentially, what does an AACST business school actually signify and symbolize for you? And also give you a good comparison of why a Clark MBA is good value for your money and what are some of the admission requirements. Of course, Amy can answer all of this in depth. And I'm just going to share my screen so Amy gets started. Brad and I will, of course, keep a tab on the Q&A button and answer anything that you may have. Over to you, Amy.
Great. So yes, like Praneet said, all of those questions will be answered by all of us. But again, please feel free to use the Q&A, and then we will also put any links that we feel are helpful to you in the chat. So again, this is a collaborative program between Clark University and upGrad. For your information, we do have another collaborative program with upGrad. So we are long-term partners and very experienced with each other and feel that we have a very strong and trusting relationship citizenship. I think that's important for all of you to know. So we already have students through upGrad, from upGrad in some of our other STEM programs. So we're very excited to welcome new upGrad students. Next slide, please. So as Praneet mentioned, you know, Clark is has a long-standing MBA, School of Management and MBA. But it's not only longstanding, it's also quite prestigious. The institution of ourselves, Clark University, is in the top 100 of US News and World Report. And that is, the top 100 is actually a very coveted ranking. However, what we don't talk about a lot, and I think is actually even more impressive, is that when you look at schools that are 5,000 students or less, which Clark is small like that, we're in the top 5 in the United States, which is very exciting. And we're very proud of that. We also are number 27 in the best value schools. So again, getting to that point of getting the best business education and return on your investment. And we're very excited that recently we were named in the top 75 MBA programs in the United States. So I think that our rankings and our accreditation speak for themselves, but I think it's important for you to understand that this is a very reputable program. Next slide, please. Oops. I think that I can't see that. It looks like, there we go. Okay, hopefully, terrific. Technical difficulties. Anyway, so Praneet mentioned AACSB. AACSB is a special accreditation given only to 5% of the business programs worldwide. So think about that for a minute. Only 5% of the business programs worldwide. So Clark has had AACSB accreditation for as long as we have existed, and we recently were reaccredited. What this means is that we are held to a higher standard for our academics, our student learning outcomes, our faculty hiring, which is fantastic for you, but it also makes us very proud. We can show just by having this accreditation that our curriculum is top notch, our faculty are top notch, and the education that you will be getting is top notch. And here are some of the other rankings that we have through Clark University. So we're ranked worldwide and also within the United States. Next slide, please. So the Clark, as I mentioned, Clark is was founded as a graduate school in 1887. So we are, again, one of the first universities within the United States. We have about 3,800 students from over 70 countries around the globe. So that's a small institution. And why we think small is good is that students get a lot of attention and interaction with the faculty. So as a graduate student, you'll be working with faculty, you'll know them on a first name basis. The class sizes are small. It really is a very intimate and very rewarding experience as a student. 36% of Clark students are graduate students. So some schools have an MBA program, but the school itself is really focused on undergraduate learning. And so that is not the case at Clark, where you'll see that more than a third of our students are graduate students. And so you'll have peers within the School of Management and other schools on campus that you'll be able to collaborate with and interact with. And Clark has a very strong international student population. Amanda will talk a little bit more about the support services that her area offers, but Clark is committed and has been for years to supporting international students. Very often schools now are going outside of the United States to recruit international students because the demographics within the United States are shifting. Fortunately, Clark has always had international students. We've had the fortune of having international students on our campus. And we do that because we understand the significant contributions that they make to our campus community. Again, world-renowned faculty and small community on campus. And why don't you go to the next slide and I'll talk a little bit more about Worcester. So Worcester, as Praneet said, is about an hour outside of Boston, an hour by car, and about 2.5 to 3 hours. It says 3.5, so I must drive really fast to New York City, but I can get there in 3 hours, and an hour from Providence, Rhode Island. So it's really centrally located. So you have commuter rail trains, Uber, all sorts of transportation that can get you to the larger cities if you need to fly out of Boston or go to New York City to do some shopping or see a show. But Worcester in and of itself has a lot to offer. It's the second largest city in New England, and it is a hub of 13 colleges, which during the school year, there are about 40,000 college students in Worcester. And so that gives it a really great community feel. The city itself has been an immigrant city for years. And so it's a very diverse community and very welcoming community to international students. It is a safe environment, and we're very proud to be an immigrant city. Again, lots of transportation options, 20+ trains to and from Boston, and then, like I said, buses, Uber, local transportation in Worcester as well. One thing I want to mention, because the climate is very different in the United States than in India. And so we do have 4 distinct seasons. Our summer, which I know is different than summer in India, is June to August, and that's going to be warm. The fall is or hot, I should say, but not hot by Indian standards. And then the fall is September to November. So that would be our fall semester. And that starts out really warm and beautiful during the day and cool evenings, and then might get a little chilly, and sometimes we get some snow in November, but not always. The winter goes from December to February. And again, that's where we tend to get cold snow. This year, we've had actually a delightful winter. We haven't had much snow at all. So I personally like that, but I know that some of my friends who ski aren't too happy about that. And then finally, the spring semester, the spring is from March to May, which is a little chilly in the beginning and then tends to warm up and is really beautiful time to be in Worcester with all the flowers blooming. And so we really tend to like I prefer the fall and the spring the most. Next slide, please. Here are just some pictures about Clark, about Worcester, but I want to move forward so that we can get to all of your questions and answers. Amanda, can you take over the next slide?
Absolutely. And I'd also like to mention as well, as Amy mentioned, that there are a lot of immigrants and things that are in Worcester area. There are also amazing Indian grocery stores where you will find all of your lovely snacks and all the things. My husband is actually from Gujarat, so I will tell you that we are always on the hunt for all the good, yummy snacks. So I will tell you that there is Indian grocery stores nearby as well. So you will get a lot of your spices and all the things from back home. So I did just want to mention that. Also, so for housing for graduate students, there is limited on-campus housing. So what's nice about that is, you're on campus, you don't have to worry about paying like a heating or any of those things, because all of that's included with the on-campus living cost. And of course, there's, more information on our Res Life sites about that. Most graduate students do choose to live in off-campus apartments with roommates. Generally, I would say they end up paying around $300 to $750 per month on their apartment, depending on if they have roommates and such, and location preference. You do have to live within a distance of Worcester your first semester here with us. The total living expenses that you should be budgeting and thinking about would be about $16,000 for a year. So just keep that in mind. If you are planning on bringing dependents, that will fluctuate a little bit, but our team will be happy to go through those costs for you as well. You can flip to the next slide. All right, so student resources and support. What's great about Clark, and Amy mentioned this a little bit about with class size and things, is you are not just a number here. We really try and get to know each of you as a student and how we can help you achieve your dreams and your goals in your life. So there's International Center, which the ISSO is a part of. And we offer things from webinars and workshops on how to get your driver's license, how to get your social security number, how to, all of those type of housekeeping things when you get here, how to set up a bank account, those types of things we offer to you. We also have lots of fun programming. The School of Management does amazing fun programming, as well as the International Center. I would, recommend, if you want to see some photos from our recent events, checking out our Instagram page. There's lots of fun pictures and things on there. We also have a writing center, our libraries, our health services, as well as counseling and wellness. We also have our amazing athletic center, which does have a pool, which is amazing if you're big into swimming, and our fitness center. We have our 24/7 Clark Safety and Security, our university police. So anytime that you're on campus, 24/7, they are there for you for assistance in a case of emergency or otherwise. And then we also have a service called Clark Ride, which does, offer some safe ride programs available for you, like within a certain distance of campus. When you come to campus for your welcome support, the International Center does provide an airport pickup. We have one day for our fall and our spring students when they first come, and we let you know what that day is ahead in advance so you can plan your tickets, and we do help you with that. And then we also have international student welcome prior to your graduate student orientation, and during that student welcome we talk about all the things of transitioning to the US, how that we can best serve you and help you, and go through all of the things about, first coming into the United States. And then we also have our I-20 support. So while you're a student here at Clark, the ISSO offers 4 days a week of open office drop-in hours where you can walk into our office at any time and ask for immigration advice and things. And we also offer one of those days virtually. So many times we have our new students, so maybe one of you might want to pop on to a Friday morning and ask some questions about your I-20 process or the visa process or things, and we help you through that. So again, all of our team really, really try to get to know each of you and how we can help you achieve your goals and dreams while at Clark. And I believe we'll pop it over to the next person now.
Andrea, do you want me to take this?
Go for it, Meredith.
Okay, so, right. So, as you progress through the program, you're going to receive certainly academic advising from myself and some of the others in the School of Management, but most importantly, and I know this is important to you, is your career advising. So we are fortunate in the School of Management to have a career center dedicated to just our students. The Career Center holds workshops. You can set up individual appointments anytime you need assistance with resumes, interview practices. Those can be in-person meetings, they could be online. They hold a number of alumni events. Those are just some of the companies where our alumni work, but there's another slide later on that will share some more details about where a lot of our alumni are working. But we do hold a lot of events with our alums. They love to come back to campus. They love to mentor and assist our students. We have mock interview days where we have real companies who come in and allow you to interview with them just to practice. And of course, there's lots of access to career fairs, both within just the School of Management and then with all of the university. So there's a lot of options, a lot of services that we provide. Go ahead, next slide.
I'm just going to intervene for a second. I just wanted everybody who's asking about the cost to wait for a couple of more minutes, because this is a credit recognition based program. The costs are substantively reduced, but I think I'd like Amy's team to explain that more in depth, or I will towards the later half of the webinar. So please hold on before you ask the fee. Over to you.
Sure. So our MBA program really focuses on experiential learning. We don't just want to have you sitting in a classroom listening to faculty lectures all day. They'll have you out working on real projects with real companies, local companies, international companies. There's really a variety of hands-on experiential learning that happens. Our faculty take part in research. They are professors of practice. They have worked in the field in a variety of fields for many years. And then we have adjunct faculty who join us for a semester or two at a time. The program itself allows you to concentrate in one of these 6 areas. So you'll have some basic core competencies in your business studies, but you'll also be able to concentrate in one of these areas: accounting, management, social change and sustainability, marketing, information management and business analytics, and finance. And those 2 little asterisks there, the business analytics and the finance concentrations are our 2 STEM concentrations. Those are the only 2 STEM concentrations that we currently have for the MBA program. They are very popular for obvious reasons, and we'll talk more about that too. But you know, marketing and accounting are also popular concentrations for students interested in those areas. Go ahead, next slide. So Andrea, do you want to take over here?
Sure thing. Absolutely. So in terms of the specifics of the program that we have with you all, you're going to begin the program online with your upGrad program. And then once you've successfully completed your diploma there, what's going to happen is there's 4 courses that we have identified that overlap with the MBA that you are not going to take. So normal students entering our program as direct admits would start a program that is 12 courses. You all are only going to take 8 of the courses in the program. And we can go over the details of that, the specific courses, but I can tell you that there's a number of core courses. And then as Meredith has said, you would choose one of those concentration areas to take upper level coursework in. In terms of the mapping of the program, we have mapped out a degree that you would complete within 1 year, one full year, so 2 semesters and a summer. There's a streamlined application process. I saw some of you have questions about that. We have additional slides, so I'm going to move past that and let the admissions folks talk about that. There is a guaranteed 20% scholarship once you apply and are admitted to this program. And I can say that there is an internship requirement. I know there were some questions about that as well. I can tell you that 95% of the students in our MBA program complete an internship. They have absolutely no problem completing. I would say the 5% that don't just didn't spend the time preparing and finding and securing their internships, but there are plenty of jobs for students who want to do an internship, and both in the United States and back home. So we've had students do both. So if you have a connection with a particular company back home, it's a possibility that you might choose to do your internship there as well. Next slide, please. So the course plan is that if you're starting in fall, you would start with taking 4 courses in the program. In the spring, you would take the additional 4 courses. And then in the summer, because you have to be a full-time student for 2 semesters in the United States to work, you would do your internship over the summer. And then I know many of you on this webinar today are looking at the spring intake. The spring semester, you would take 4 courses. Then you could take 2 courses over the summer, and then 2 remaining courses along with your internship in the fall. So that's sort of the mapping that we have for you all. Next slide. So these are, as Meredith mentioned, these are just a few of our successful alumni and the types of positions that they've gotten and where they're working. You can see these are all very highly reputable companies. These are MBA students. So yes, we have other degree programs within our School of Management, but you can see it's a really vast array of companies. There's some of the big 4 accounting firms. There's big consulting firms. There are just large international organizations here, as well as major investment banks. So depending on your area of concentration, you too could follow in these footsteps and work for one of these organizations. Next slide. So after graduation, students are eligible for OPT. And you can see here, depending on if you have chosen one of those 2 concentrations for STEM, it will allow you a 36-month OPT if you are able to find a position. In terms of where our students find work, either internship or jobs, it tends to be in what we call New England, which are sort of the uppermost Northeast states. Definitely Worcester, Boston, New York are the most popular areas where our alumni are working. And then we do survey, this is a requirement of ACSB, we survey our students after they graduate, you know, where are you working, what are you doing? And 95% of them are gainfully employed within 6 months of graduating. We have to do this survey yearly, and so I plopped in the amount here of our high end of our salary range of $96,000 in US dollars. I've seen it vary from year to year. It can range from there to over 100,000. It really depends on the given year and the students that are providing us that information. Next slide, please. So I'll turn it over to, is it Andrea V?
No, it's
Or
me.
Brad?
It's Bradley.
Brad.
Hi,
Okay,
everyone. No, no worries. I know there's been many questions about the requirements and what you guys are talking about when it comes to eligibility. So I'm really happy that I was able to have this slide so I can kind of speak a little bit more in depth to you guys about this. So for our actual application, it's actually a very easy application. It's online. And you can fill that out on our website or through the help of your upGrad counselor or whoever you're in contact with there. We will need a proof of English proficiency. So for IELTS, it's 6.5 with no band under 6.0, TOEFL 85 with no subscore under 20, and Duolingo 110 with no subscore under 100. We will need your transcripts. We will need a resume, and work experience is helpful but not required. So we do understand that many students, you know, come through and have just recently graduated or just finished classes. But if you do have work experience, please put that on there. It's always going to help. 2 letters of recommendation at least, and then a 3.0 US GPA equivalent, and a GRE and GMAT are not required. So I know that's a big question. But through upGrad. So I can go ahead and hand this off to Andrea V now.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly talk about the I-20 and the visa process. So once you've been accepted and you're coming to Clark, we're all excited for you. You're going to receive an invitation from our ISSO portal. And this portal is really the hub that you will use your entire time at Clark for all of your immigration needs. It's a very, very simple step-by-step process. You just are going to need to upload a copy of your passport, a bank statement that's no more, or other financial documents no more than 6 months old from the time when you are filling this out, so that way we can ensure that you have enough funding. And then once that you submit your request with us, we will have your I-20 available to you generally within 5 business days, or most of the time sooner. Once it's issued, we will upload your I-20 onto our ISSO portal. You'll get an email from us for the next directions to pay your CVIS fee. You'll then schedule your visa appointment, and then hopefully within a matter of a few months, you'll be ready to roll and coming to Clark. Again, our office is here to help you through this process. And as I previously mentioned, we do have virtual office hours on Friday mornings, our USA time, to assist you, that you can pop on anytime and we can go through the process with you. But it's a very, very simple process.
Okay, thanks everyone. So I hope this provided a lot of information. I know it did. And we did answer quite a few questions in the Q&A box. But we are here also to answer any other questions that have popped up for you throughout the presentation. Praneet, the question about funding, I think, is a really important one, because this is a special program, and the students that participate in this program get a significant financial discount. So if a student is coming to Clark and needs to take all 12 courses for the MBA, the cost is a little over $57,000 US, and that's for the whole program. But students who come through this program are not taking all 12 courses. They're only taking 8 courses with us. So that automatically reduces the tuition to about $38,000. But again, we offer only the upgrad students this guaranteed 20% scholarship, which then brings it down to just about $30,000 for the entire program. And so that's about a 50% discount over an award-winning AACSB accredited MBA program. So I wanted to explain that, but Praneet, I know that you may have some words on that as well.
No, whatever you said is absolutely true. I think it really is. So having studied in the US myself, having done my grad, I can simply say that almost no university worth its salt that is in the top 100 will give you an MBA program at that cost, and a cost difference of 27,000 USD is a lot, plus all upgrad students almost say one semester. 4 units is something that you tightly fit into one semester, one term, and so which means you're ideally saving a lot of living costs as well. The ideal living costs that you must be saving, of course, I can refer to Amy for more details, but should be beyond 10,000 USD at least, another 27-30 on your tuition. So essentially you're saving about 37 to 40,000 USD. That's about 35 lakh Indian rupees. That's a lot of money that you're saving. The Clock team highlighted that more or less your average salaries or your starting salaries are going to be 96 to 100,000 USD. So essentially that just barely means that you're technically earning thrice the amount of money you've spent on the MBA program. And if you pick up the business analytics and information systems and information management and BA, or you pick up finance, that's a STEM designated course, which means you get to extend your OPT by another 2 years, 3 years, and you've made almost 10 times the amount that you invested into the MBA program in the United States. I see a lot of students with us. So on an average, we send about 1,000 students on pathway to the US. We send 3,000 students to Germany. And I think because you're spending about 20 lakhs on a German course and you're making about another 35, 40 lakhs, the ROI on MBAs like the Clock MBA is almost twice the ROI that you get on a German program. So what I'm trying to explain here is that while things may look more brighter, more attractive on the exterior, when you actually do a deep dive and you understand how the job market in Canada works, how the job market and salaries in the US work, my advice always is that you should pick great MBAs in the US because the return on investment is an absolute 100 instead of Canada, where I've known students who've done MBA at York or U of T, but they don't even make half as much money as a US MBA would ideally would. And that's true. I have had friends, when I went to Wharton, they went to U of T, and the ROI was significantly different. So that's one. Plus, I've never seen in the US any top 100 MBA that can let you enter without the GMAT. That's very rare. They need a GMAT GRE just to make sure that you are demonstrably showing your academic readiness for rigor. And this is one such example. When you can do an IMT course, which is another AACSB school in India, you do it online, start now. And I think especially if you're working, you don't have to abruptly end your job. Start now. Our next batch starts in 6 days on 20th February. keep your job intact, do your 11 months course by January of next year, you can actually move to Clock. So not only is it a more seamless transition from one country to the other, from one state of operation to the next, from professional experience to academics again, but it is also you've got enough time for you to plan everything. I'm sure the Clock team covered everything. I'm just going to look a little bit towards the questions. Is it useful for a BDS graduate or an allied healthcare graduate for doing an MBA? I'd pass that on to Amy.
So I would say that, and Andrea and Meredith, please feel free to jump in too, because I guess my opinion is that an MBA is actually a really good fit for pretty much almost any undergraduate background. And the reason for that is the skills and the competencies that you are going to gain through an MBA curriculum are transferable to any field. Andrea or Meredith, do you want to jump in and maybe provide a little bit more context there?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So absolutely, as Amy has mentioned, the MBA is sort of the gold standard for anyone who wants to move up into management positions in any type of organization. So that's why, we have engineering students, we have students from public administration, we have students from health industries wanting the MBA degree. It's a very versatile degree in the sense that you have coverage of all of the core function areas of business within an MBA: management, marketing, accounting, finance, IT, analytics. These are all areas that are covered in that core curriculum. And then you go on in your specialized area and take upper level courses so that if you have a sense of which direction in industry you want to work in, that's where you focus those upper level courses. But it's a degree for really any undergraduate program or background.
Thanks, Andrea. We've got a question here. Can I articulate from the triple IDL GMU course to Clock? Well, look, like Amy mentioned towards the beginning, we've got School of Professional Studies programs, MSDA, MSID, MSPM. Looking at your academic profile and your metal, we may look at triple IT program completion scorecard and put you through to Amy or the Clock University fraternity for your admission into their tech programs. However, there's no articulation officially between triple IT's advanced certificate program in DS or machine learning to the MBA. And even if it was, it will hardly fit into just one concentration of business analytics. So I don't think the Clock team can guarantee that you will get 4 units waived off, maybe just 1 or 2. So if you still feel that's worth it, you may as well go. You get the waiver, you complete the rest, and you get a 20% on whatever is left, if that's 45K or XYZ amount. I hope I got that right. I'd let Amy.
Yeah, no, that's right. So the only program that we have that we have right now is with the AACSB accredited business school. And so it doesn't mean that you wouldn't be admitted to Clark's MBA program, but you wouldn't have the same arrangement.
Absolutely, yes. We do offer the MSDA, the analytics course, the project management course, and the information technology course, if that's of your interest. And what I can do is I can give you my email address, and then of course you can write me on it. We will assess your academic credentials. Just to localize the criteria, I know Brad explained it, but I just want to make sure that us here actually understand from an Indian standpoint, what does it mean? So you need at least a 60 to 65% in your bachelor's. Ideally, as Amy would agree to this, we would like a BBA or a B-commerce degree, or even better is an engineering or any 4-year degree. if you're coming from a 3-year degree background, your university in India should be NAC accredited as A plus or A++ in the recent years 2020, 2021, 2022. And ideally, if you've got a Bachelor of Arts degree or some unrelated degree that does not really qualify for an MBA progression, then I would suggest you have a good business development / marketing / digital marketing or sales or engineering experience for at least 3 years. I jump back to Amy to also highlight that for a regular clock MBA applicant, do you actually accept or do you actually need work experience? Is that waived off for our students?
So many of our MBA applicants do have work experience. It's not absolutely required, but they would also need to take the GMAT, which I think is a great benefit of going through the upGrad program, because we see that you're being successful at an AACSB accredited business school already, that we feel we're confident that you will be successful at Clark. So many of our MBA students do have work experience, but some don't as well. Many don't. So it's not required.
Thanks, Amy. We've got a question. LPU is accredited by UGC. I'm sure it's accredited by NAC. It's a very renowned university. I could check for you, my friend. Yeah, you're NAC A+ accredited, so you're okay.
A+ is great.
Absolutely. And one of the other thing is, of course, while these are set requirements, you can always make an application to Clark and see if you're being accepted, but there's a prior approval process in place that happens through me and the Clark's enrollment office. Clark with an apostrophe, because I know a lot of us here call it Clark's. So Clark has a thorough, rigorous, robust approval system in place. I put down in the chat box the application link, but I think this was a wonderful space in which you get I'm sure you got to know about the ROI. What does the AACSB accredited MBA actually mean? What is the curriculum like? What specialized fields can you pick up? That you do a mandatory internship after 2 terms. But I think at a glance, the most salient points are you don't need a GMAT. You don't need work experience. This is the top 75 MBA in the world by Fortune, which is one of the most credible employability intensive rankings. This is from a university that's 97 on US News. That's again, more or less the top 2% universities in the United States. Of course, Clark is an AACSB school, putting it on the top 5% based schools across the world, which means they need to maintain the rigor of research, of business practices, of faculty, and ensuring that the academic rigor is maintained. But I think even beyond that is the fact that you're getting this at about a 50% fee waiver. That's a cherry on the top, and that's something that matters the most to us in the Southeast, that what is the return on investment that I'm actually getting. So all of that put together, this is a killer MBA, one of the best that we have, actually the best MBA that we have on the upGrad portfolio in the United States. And having been a student of the US for grad, I think being employed in New Delhi, I still feel that US higher ed is widely, highly, heavily, extensively regarded as one of the best higher ed in the world, and not just regarded in terms of softer means, but even when I was looking for a job here, even when I was looking at a decent pay, some of the top 100 schools, if you graduate from them, it's just they're highly regarded in terms of employability. And some of the most renowned, sought after multinational firms now hire a lot of US qualified talent. Some of the universities here mandatorily need a US master's or UK master's. So this is the trend that's been going on. I think one of the other things about Clark's MBA is the specialized tracks that they have, including social change and sustainability. That's not an MBA track that I find very often. So I think I'd let Amy maybe put someone on the spotlight here to talk more about which specialized track is for ideally which kind of a student, and is that a choice that they can make even towards the second term, or is it a choice that they make on first day?
I'll let Andrea or Meredith jump in here because they're the experts.
I would say that, and Meredith, you can definitely chime in because you're talking to these students every single semester. But not all students walk through the door into the MBA program knowing their concentration. Some do, and we tend to caution them and say, that's great, that's wonderful, but keep an open mind your first semester here because you may change it. You may get into the financial management course and say, oh my gosh, I love finance. This is the direction I want to go. I want to go work in an investment bank, or I want to go do a corporate finance type position. But you don't have to know that area of concentration. You don't have to declare it your first semester here. So we don't expect that. I mean, Meredith, what do you see typically?
Yeah, for sure. I think the students typically take at least one semester to decide what they want to concentrate in. And a lot of that, I think their decisions are based on the courses that they've already taken. So you'll come to the School of Management having taken some of, some MBA courses already. And so hopefully you'll have some sense of the area that you're interested in. You certainly don't want to wait too long. You need to take 3 courses to declare your that will count towards your concentration. But typically students will come and maybe have a sense and then decide after the first semester. That's usually what we see.
Got it. So you're essentially saying that before they choose their specialized track, they have to first pass 3 courses and then consult their advisor, and then they pick the final specialized track. Is that so?
No, sorry, not to confuse people. So the concentration is, the area you will focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And the concentration itself requires 3 courses. Yeah, so if you're interested in the business analytics concentration, one of the STEM options, then you would take 3 courses specifically within the area of business analytics.
Got it. So you're essentially saying that whichever specialist track they do 3 courses within it. Yes, which is 100%. But what I wanted to know also was that is it that the student would like to pick up a concentration but is denied so, or does he or she have to demonstrate academic success in any prerequisite module, or is that not the case?
No, that's not the case. No.
Got it. So it's their free will. Yes.
Yeah, we don't turn anyone away from any concentration that they want. Everyone gets the concentration that they choose. They may have, they may have to be careful when it comes time to registering for those electives that they really want. Some of our electives do fill up, but that's what Meredith is for. Meredith is going to advise you, okay, be the first student to register for that course because you really want it for your concentration, and don't wait a week after registration opens. So, but for the most part, absolutely, everyone gets to choose the concentration that they want, and they get to take the courses that they want.
For sure.
Absolutely. That sounds great. I'd like to thank the entire clock team. I think this has been wonderful, so informative, so comprehensive, almost addressed every single anxiety that a student in India can have towards making their final choice. Thank you so much. I'd like to invite Amy to finally give her valedictory note. And I put the link on the chat box for applying to the clock program. You get the IMT started. And by the way, this cohort in February is the last cohort that can actually go into the Jan intake at Clock, because if you don't, then you go to the fall 24 intake at Clock. If we have someone here already who's in IMT and is looking for articulation straight into Clock, fall 23 is still open for you. I'm sure Amy's team would be super excited, enthralled to take you in fall 23 intake if you're almost there completing your IMT. I missed one thing though. It's not just the successful completion of IMT, but you need to complete IMT with 3 GPA. That's about 65 to 70% of marks. That's bare minimum. So three GPA is your graduate criteria for successful completion at Clock, and that's what you need to achieve in your bachelor's as well as your IMT coursework. Putting the baton in Amy's hands and putting all the spotlight on her now.
Great. Thanks so much, Praneet. And thanks to all of you today for sticking with us for an hour. As you can tell, we're really proud of our MBA program at Clark, and we feel that it is top notch and a really great academic experience for students. And we feel confident that it will launch your career and help you achieve your goals. So thank you again. Thanks to the Clark team. We are here early. Clark doesn't start working until after usually 8 o'clock. So the fact that all of us are here shows our commitment to our students and to this program. And so we are here to support you throughout the process. So let us know what questions you have that come up after. The upGrad team communicates with us on a regular basis. And we're looking forward to receiving your applications and welcoming you to campus.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing which I forgot to mention was by fall 23, Clark would have about 200 upGrad students from India already. So you will have a good group to blend with, meet with, interact with, and be supported with. I think Clark already has about 39 or 40 students on campus from upGrad already, which gives you a good ground that, hey, you're safe. You can talk to someone from your community. You can ask them about their experiences. Although, I mean, the point of going abroad is for you to enjoy diversity, for you to experience diversity, for you. So when I was in the US, I met people from over 100 nationalities studying at Wharton, and that is the experience that you're craving. But I think the point is that sometimes you want to know if there's someone you can ask about, hey, you come from a background like mine, how has it been like for you at Clock? So you can get in touch with your counselors at upGrad. They will get you connected to someone at Clock. And they can, of course, share with you their experiences. All of them are super happy. They've not had a single student who moved out of Clock. They are more than what I can say happy. And in fact, upGrad's 45% US mobility is just Clock. More than 45% is just Clock. So we're super proud. Like Amy mentioned, our partnership goes way back. And we actually pioneered our US partnership with Clock. Pioneered our US articulation partnerships, starting with Clock University, and till date has been the most successful partnership. And rightfully so. It checks all boxes that an Indian student may want to need. Thank you again, everybody. Feel free to get in touch with me. Meredith says, a very warm bye to each one of you. And then we've got Amanda, Andrea, into two, Brad and Amy, all giving you a warm smile. And I'm sure looking forward to hosting you at the Clark campus.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.